Hello and welcome to everyone. Welcome to the second day of European Blockchain Convention. It's great to see you all back here again. We have the honor of having Mario, CEO and founder of NFT. He is dialing in from Canada, so that's why it's very dark if you look through his windows. It's 3 in the morning, so good morning or good night, Mario. The floor is yours. We're very excited to hear more about what you're working on. And also for the audience, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat box and I'll try to find a little bit of time to ask the questions at the end to Mario. So Mario, the stage is yours. Welcome.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. So yeah, if anyone has questions, do ask them. I'll be talking about a topic that should trigger a few questions because thanks to Mark, it's a really hot and exciting topic now. But I've been talking about this for a while, well before Mark made it into, Mark Zuckerberg made it into probably the term that everyone wants to plug into their company somehow. And I'm finding every single company is trying to find out how to include Metaverse in their vision or in their business model. And in most cases, it just doesn't make sense. But what I've found is that most people still don't really understand what the metaverse is. And I'll tell you how I know this. So Facebook rebranded to Meta, and I think all of us know this. And most people started freaking out. Like, we got to stop Facebook from controlling the metaverse, and we got to all stand together. And to me, that shows a lack of understanding of what the metaverse is, and I'll explain why. Now, first, like, who the hell am I? I'm not sure if I can curse, so I'll try not to. Who the hell am I? Like, why am I talking about the space? Well, I've been excited about the space well before it became a buzzword. And as the CEO and co-founder of NFT Tech, I'm responsible for deploying a lot of capital into the NFT space. Now, most of you, when I say deploying capital in the NFT space, might immediately think of NFTs representing art and collectibles. Well, to me, the metaverse is a significantly bigger use case than art and collectibles. I'll explain why. NFTs is a sexy way of saying digital ownership. That's what NFTs represent. Owning something on the web. That's it. So let's talk about the concept of ownership. You can own, I own this phone. Okay, I own the AirPods here. I even own this bottle of water that I bought at Starbucks. And I own this transformer that, I've got 3 of them as I travel every like 2-3 freaking days. So I own these things. I don't own any collectibles. I don't collect things, outside some digital collectibles now, especially CryptoPunks. But I don't own collectibles and I don't own art. I'm not an artistic person. There's no art in this hotel room either. Actually, there's a painting here, but it just doesn't bring me value. So I'm not a big fan of art and collectibles in the physical world in terms of ownership. I'm a fan of ownership because I own so many other things, but not art and collectibles. So why suddenly, because it's digital ownership, why suddenly owning art and collectibles is like the go-to thing for the concept of NFTs? There's so many things you can own on the digital web in Web 3.0 that the focus on NFTs, on collectibles and art is just over the top, in my opinion. I look at NFTs and what excites me the most beyond art and collectibles, which again, it is exciting. Just, I think it's not the go-to answer to what NFTs are. It's just one of thousands and thousands of use cases. So my favorite use case, and something I've said for a while, is that NFTs represent the atomic unit of the metaverse. Or I'm going to rephrase it. They represent, the NFTs are the atomic unit of the multiverse. And I'll explain the difference in a minute. Now, what does that mean? Well, the atomic unit, meaning it allows it all to function. The world we live in today cannot function without ownership. I can't pay for this hotel room if I didn't own the credit card that I use and the money that I use to pay. Now, you might argue, hey, the bank owns it, you own it. Let's not go there. So ownership allows us to function in society. The same way ownership will allow the multiverse or a decentralized metaverse to function. So, CEO and co-founder of NFT Tech. And the reason I'm talking about this is that we're deploying a lot of capital in the space, investing in a lot of projects. We have one of our favorite projects launching tomorrow called Sidus Heroes. Another one of our top projects we're very involved in called Loot NFT, and they both have practical metaverse plays as well. So I mentioned the term multiverse, and that might have gotten some attention. Some of you might have Googled it, and you probably didn't find anything. I use the term multiverse to explain a digital world with multiple metaverses. I'll compare it to the internet. Amazon.com is a website. Google.com is a website. They're all on the internet, on the technology we call the internet. For me, anyone can have a metaverse. Anyone, including Meta or Facebook, can build a metaverse. And they are. There's dozens, there's hundreds. I don't know if there's already thousands of metaverses, but there will be. We're talking about partnering with BitCountry, which allows anyone to create a metaverse. I call it like the Shopify of metaverses, which is pretty exciting. Imagine that, the Shopify of metaverses. That's pretty sexy. Or what they say is that anyone can create their own sandbox or Decentraland. So anyone can create a metaverse, and it could be a decentralized metaverse, which is what many call a true metaverse, or it could be a centralized or relatively centralized metaverse, why people don't like Meta. I don't mind. I think there's room for both. And they will all exist on the web, which I call the multiverse, which is like the digital solar system. The multiverse to me is like a digital representation of the world we live in today, the solar system, without predetermined physics. Now, why do I say without predetermined physics? Because physics are, what we have as physics in the physical world are code in the metaverse. So in the metaverse, you can fly, you can teleport, etc., whatever the code allows you to do. In the physical world, I cannot fly, and there's no way to allow me to fly. So I've explained to you what the metaverse is. I've explained to you what the multiverse is. Now, many of you are looking at how to make money. It's very common in crypto. How can I make money within the metaverse or multiverse? How can I capitalize on it? Where should I invest our capital? Well, that's my job. Now I'm seeing questions come in. I'll be answering those questions at the end. If you want me to answer them now, Victoria can tell me. I can answer them as I speak if you prefer. So what you need to understand first is how the space will evolve. I need to be a few steps ahead. So you can't be following the hype. You got to be trying to see where the hype is going to go next and be early there. I think this is the best way to deploy either your capital or your time. And right now, the hype is around gaming, which is perfect, which is fine. Why is that fine? Well, I look at games as like an entry point, a portal into the metaverse. Let's look at life. You can call life as a game. You can literally say life itself is a game. The game of life. So it makes logical sense for gaming to be the entry point for people to start adopting the metaverse. And slowly those games will evolve into an economy. Let's look at Axie Infinity. Axie Infinity right now is essentially a game where people buy Axies, play a game to make money. Everyone coming in to play Axie Infinity is looking to take more money out than they put in because everyone's trying to make money. That's their goal with Axie, which is fine, but it's not sustainable. And Axie know this. So that's why Axie are working at to develop a free-to-play game, and they're working to develop a more sophisticated economy beyond just, hey, buy Axies, play the game, leave, allowing people to also enjoy the game and building it into an ecosystem, into an economy. And soon that will become just like a whole world you can experience. If anyone knows Pokemon, and I used to love Pokemon, if anyone knows Pokemon, they know that Pokemon was like a world you live in. You can collect those creatures and stuff. So Axie could create that world where you put in those goggles and you're in that world where you own your Axies. You can socialize with people. The social aspect of metaverse is the multiverse is really important. An economy beyond buying Axies and playing games, competitions develop towards things. They can have concerts there. They can have a lot more things. Things that we cannot even imagine right now. So you'll see that happen more and more with games. The game I mentioned earlier, Sidus Heroes, they're an incredible game, but they've got a plan to develop into a metaverse, their own metaverse. And you're seeing more and more games do this. So already games are they know that the future will be a whole digital economy, a whole world they build on the web, within the multiverse. And they're working towards that. So what does that mean to you? Because I was talking about how to invest. Well, everyone's investing in games. Well, look for games that have a clear, logical plan to develop into a metaverse. Not just sticking the word metaverse in their plan, in their business plan, but genuinely having a plan to achieve that. So that's one way of looking at it, in-game assets. Now, every metaverse is talking about how you can buy land and you can buy scarce assets within their metaverse. Let's talk about land because it's the easiest example. And they're like, hey, we have limited land, buy it now, which is true. You can limit the amount of land, like Decentraland. Decentraland is the size of Washington. They don't have more land. The only way more land can be created is if existing landowners vote to allow more land to be created, which they wouldn't do that if it's going to diminish the value of their land. So there's no incentive to create more land yet, unless somehow it increases the value of existing land. So it is scarce, but that doesn't make it valuable, because a metaverse within itself is useless. It doesn't matter how beautiful it is. If no one's using it, it's useless. Like if you go to a part of Earth that has, like, let's say part of the desert that has no life whatsoever, no animals, no humans, nothing, it's not going to be that valuable. But if you go to, now I'm in Vancouver now, but if you go to, I was in Miami a few days ago, or I'm going to Dubai soon. If you go to Dubai, the city center, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to be there, because there's a whole economy. There's restaurants, there's cafes, there's gyms, there's all these different things, clubs and people and offices. They're all there. There's life. There's a whole ecosystem there. The same thing will be within metaverses. A metaverse with an entire ecosystem and adoption will have the value. So buying scarce assets within a metaverse that will not get adoption, that's very logical. And I'm not saying something that's really hard to understand. No matter how scarce it is, doesn't give it value. What gives it value is adoption. What brings adoption is the community being built by that metaverse. The Axie community is a very, very powerful community. That's why it's worth so much. The game isn't great. They're very early. There's better games out there. There's better metaverses out there. Oh, Axie hasn't launched their metaverse. So what brings it value? Well, it has a very powerful community, and also they have a lot of money and a strong name. So look for a metaverse that's building a strong community. And how are communities built? Well, they're built around a story. I launched my first business well before crypto. It's called Fruity. It's an e-commerce business. Still exists today in over 30 countries. And I remember I've done a few speeches about this where I use this as an example, how I built the business accidentally. I didn't expect to build a business because I built a community first. And there's so many examples of this in a business. Well, it's the same within, the rules of business apply to life and to the metaverse. So if you're building a metaverse, you have to get adoption. To get adoption, you have to build a community. To build a community when you're starting out, you need a story that people can rally around. Let's talk about the CryptoPunks community. CryptoPunks were the first NFT avatar, the first NFT to trigger the ERC-721 protocol. That story gave it a lot of adoption, a lot of value. And then that story evolved to CryptoPunks being like the Rolex, the flex of the web. Anyone that has a CryptoPunk, they can flex that CryptoPunk. That's a symbol of status. That's the story of the CryptoPunk. So I've talked about the metaverse. I've talked about the metaverse versus the multiverse. I've touched on why I think, I haven't touched on that, but I don't think Meta or Facebook's metaverse is a threat. I think everyone's going to have a metaverse within the multiverse, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Google, whether it's Apple, whether it's governments, whether it's institutions, anyone. You guys could all build your own metaverse within the multiverse ecosystem, the digital representation of the world we live in today. So I've talked about that. I've talked about how you can find value within the space, how you can determine where the space is heading. We're gaming right now, evolving into a metaverse. And, I'll end it with this. I have a few minutes left, so I'll end it with the following. What's our play within the multiverse? Other than investing in great projects, I've mentioned Sidus Heroes a few times, but there's a whole bunch of them that we've invested in. So we have a guild called Goat Guild. Now, many of you might know YGG or gaming guilds. Gaming guilds essentially buy assets within a game to allow players to leverage those assets to play the game. Let's use Axie as the most basic example. A gaming guild will buy Axies that cost a few $1,000s, and then players that don't have a lot of money can borrow those Axies, play the game, make money, and split it with the owner of the Axie. But again, as I said, you have to think a few steps ahead. And I'll tell you where I see this space heading. I see guilds or gaming guilds becoming educators, becoming onboarding platforms to the metaverse, becoming incubators to the metaverse or the multiverse. What does that mean? Well, people entering the space, they need to learn about how to leverage the space. How do I start a concert within Decentraland or within Sandbox? Got to teach them how to do this. How do I build a business? So we become a university. How do I get the money to start a business? Become a financial institution, offering loans. How do I build a business? Well, we can incubate them. We can support them. So we're becoming that entire ecosystem, like I call it like the Y Combinator and Morgan Stanley and Harvard all into one. Incubating, educating, and financing the adoption of the multiverse. That's actually cool. Educating, what was it? Educating. Now I forgot my own term. So it's educating, so incubating, educating, and financing the adoption of the multiverse. That's sick. I'm going to use that. Educating, what else? Educating, incubating, and financing the adoption of the multiverse. So when you see that on our website, so our website is NFT tech.com. So we're, just to let you know, to conclude with this, we're going to be listing. We're going to go public very soon. Expected to go public in a few weeks on the stock market. The first pure play NFT company to go public, backed by some of the biggest names in the capital markets and in crypto. And we're deploying a lot of capital in the space. We're launching our own projects. Our guild is our biggest focus, and investing in a lot of other startups and buying a lot of yield-bearing in-game and in metaverse assets. And so that's my 2 cents about the metaverse, the multiverse, where I see the space heading, how you can capitalize on the space, how I would look at the space if I was you, and just understand it. I think understanding it is probably the biggest competitive edge that you can have. But I know that Victoria said that last few minutes to go through some questions, and I could do that now. So Maria wrote them down. Maria Del Mar Diaz got a great question. What conditions are required to be talking about a metaverse? Is Minecraft a metaverse? Okay, so look at the definition I've provided. A metaverse, so many of you might imagine the metaverse as Ready Player One. You have to wear those goggles and you're within that world. To me, it's different. To me, this is the metaverse. This phone, I think in a few years' time, in a couple of decades, when we tell our kids, like, hey, we used to, these were created initially to make calls. And like, what do you mean? The Metaverse X was created to make a call. The iPhone was created to make a call. No way. Because later, I think it is a metaverse. When I put my AirPods, I've got 3 AirPods. There you go. 1, I'm not making this up. Always have 3. Where's the third one? There. 1, 2, and I have a point with this, and 3. There's a very important point. 3. You're like, what? Why the hell do you have 3? I actually have a 4th one that's broken. Why the hell do you have 3? Well, this is my world. I've always got those on. Always. And especially when traveling, they run out of battery all the time. This is my metaverse. I'm always listening to books, talking to my team. I'm within that whole ecosystem, and that will slowly develop into a whole economy. So when you go to the metaverse, think of it as like Facebook is already a metaverse. Facebook, when you go on Instagram, you're in the world of Instagram, but it's just not that developed yet. It will more and more over time will develop into a whole economy. That's what will slowly be called the metaverse or the multiverse. A metaverse is like a country within the multiverse. Do you want to go to the next question, Victoria?
Yeah, we need to wrap up. I mean, yeah, the time flies with you. I mean, those 20 minutes were like gone in 1 second.
I'll do like 3 minutes to go through some quick questions.
Yeah, take one question, because we have the other speakers waiting. And
do you think that the ownership of physical assets like vehicles should also be represented by NFTs? There will be, because it just makes logical sense. It's just more convenient. But what you can all do, I see a few questions there. Just Google my name. I see 1 to 2 minutes left, so I didn't see that message, Victoria. Google my name and connect with me somehow. Ask me the questions, and I'll try to answer them all, because I know there's other speakers waiting. So I appreciate you all, and Victoria, I hope that was valuable.
Very interesting, Marius. Thank you so much. Yeah, reach out to Mario through LinkedIn, Twitter, his website. Very, very interesting. I think we've all got a better understanding of the metaverse and our metaverses in the multiverse. Thank you so much, Mario. Please, for the audience, as I said, reach out to him directly. Also, you can do that through the People's tab. And now please go to the next session. Mario, good night to you in Canada, and thank you so much.
Thank you.